Barriers to sharing books. Now, some of these may sound familiar to you, some of them may not. But honestly, when I was a parent of young children, a lot of these sounded familiar to me. And I just want to share with you what I learned, how to overcome these barriers. So, the first one is there's just not enough time to read for 20 minutes every single day. I get it. You might be working two jobs or you have a really long commute. So you have less time by the time you get home to make dinner, to bathe the children, help with homework, do the laundry, etc. So when you hear 20 minutes, it does sound like a lot. But if you break it up into little pieces, like maybe 5 minutes in the morning while they're eating breakfast, share a book aloud. If you are driving to school or waiting in traffic, or you get there early and you have some spare time, pull out your red bag and share a book out loud for about 5 minutes. You might need to pick up your child and go to the doctor after school. So when you're in the waiting room, you have maybe another 5 minutes there to share a book. And then at nighttime, maybe it's not a bedtime thing, but maybe it's a bath time thing. Share a book out loud for 5 minutes while your children are taking a bath. What I'm saying is, if you do break it up into pieces, it won't seem so overwhelming. Now, how about if English isn't your first language? And maybe you're not able to read the books that are in English, and maybe you can't read or write or even speak in English. It's okay. Read in your first language, because chances are it's your child's first language as well. And studies have shown that if you really learn your language skills in your primary language, those skills can easily transfer over to a second, third, or fourth language. How about if you're just not a very strong reader or you can't read at all? Again, no worries. First off, what matters is that you're sharing a book with your child. You're spending that time with them, showing them how important they are and how important books are. But if you cannot read, listen, you know your child's likes and dislikes better than anyone. So open the book, look at the illustrations, and use your imagination and create your own story to go with the illustrations. I guarantee they will be better than the words that are already on the page. How about if your child just isn't interested in books? Well, that was one of the barriers that happened to me. My son just was not interested, wanted nothing to do with it. So I took him to the library and I talked to the librarian, and she asked what his likes were. And he shared with her that it was sports. He loves sports, all different types of sports. So she connected us with a series of books that had to do with nothing but sports. Now, he still didn't love reading, but at least he was reading. Technology. My coworker and I do a workshop just on the positives and the negatives of technology. And basically, we need to put a limit on technology with our children. Why? Because when they're watching TV or playing a video game, they're not using their brains. They don't have to think. They don't have to guess. They don't have to use their imagination, because the technology does all that for them. And then their brains get lazy, and then books themselves just don't seem as exciting. So put a limit on technology. I know it's tough, believe me. And I know there are positives to technology. My goodness, during the shelter in place, if we didn't have technology, we would have never seen our family or wouldn't have seen them for 2 years. But again, I know it's tough. I remember the days, but it will help in the long run. And then sometimes there are generational or cultural barriers. These are tough because if you come from another country where it is solely the teacher's responsibility to teach, it's hard to get used to the fact that here it's not just the teacher's responsibility, but it's also the parents, in fact, the whole family's responsibility. People like me, tutors, it's a team of people that work together to teach your children or your child.